Okay, so welcome back to the lesson. Now, in the previous lesson, we actually talked about we actually introduced trigonometric ratios. Now, we understood that we have three basic trigonometric ratios, which include sine, which we refer to as sin in the short form. Now, I have a cosine, which we refer to as cos in the short form. Now, tangent, which we refer to as tan in the short form. Very good. Then we also learned about the triangle. Now, if I have a right angle triangle like this, and the particular angle is given, then this is the right angle. Don't forget, we said the right angle here is the angle which is equal to 90 degrees. Now, the side facing this triangle, we refer to it as the opposite. The other side, which is not facing the right angle, we refer to that as the adjacent. And the longest side, which is the side facing the right angle, we refer to as the hypotenuse. Now, I ended up telling you that three ratios can actually be used to identify or to find the missing sides of a right angle triangle or the missing angles of a right angle triangle. Now we're going to test that out to find out if we can find the missing sides of a given right angle triangle with a given angle. Now, okay, I'm sorry for that. We'll actually need a calculator, okay? Because to obtain this sine, cosine, and tangent, we actually use calculators for that. Now, when you look at this, you realize something about using the calculator. Using the calculator makes it easier, but if you have a four-figure table, you can also use that, okay? Good. Now, let's attempt some solved examples. Now, if I have an example like this, find the missing sides and angles in this right angle triangle. Good. Now let's take one example. Let's say this is a right angle triangle. Now in this right angle triangle, we realize that here is the right angle, and the angle given here is 40 degrees. Now one angle is given, the other angle is not given. Now let's say that a particular side is given. Here we have let's say 8 cm. Now this side is not given, let's call it x. And this side is not given, let's call it y. Good. Which means in this triangle, we're looking for two sides and one of the angles. Okay, now let's start with the missing angle. Solution. Now, starting with the missing angle, it's very easy to find this missing angle. Why? If you check, in every triangle, all the sum of the total angles in a triangle equals 180 degrees. So, to find this angle, we can actually say, now to find this angle, we can actually say theta plus 40 degrees plus 90 degrees. How did you get the 90 degrees? Don't forget the right angle here implies 90 degrees, and that is equal to, so theta plus 40 degrees plus 90 degrees equals 180 degrees. Okay, why? Don't forget sum of angles in a triangle. So the reason for that is the sum of angles in a triangle equals 180 degrees. Good. So theta now plus 130. How did you get 130? 40 plus 90 equals 130. So theta plus 130 is equal to 180 degrees. Now we want to obtain the value of theta. For us to make theta to be the subject or for it to be alone, we have to remove this 130. Now what do we do next? Theta plus 130 is equal to 180 degrees, which means theta plus 130 degrees minus 130 degrees is equal to 180 degrees minus 130 degrees. Now, why did we subtract this? We want to eliminate this 130 degrees for us to obtain the value of only theta. And to make sure that the equation is balanced, whatever we do to the right hand side of the equation, we also have to do that to the left hand side. That is why when we subtracted 130 degrees here, we also subtracted 130 degrees here. So theta 130 minus 130 is 0. So we are left with only theta. Theta is equal to 180 minus 130, which is 50 degrees. Okay, so the angle here is given as 50 degrees. Now we're left with finding the two missing sides. Now before we continue, we need to identify the opposite, the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Good. Now talking about this, the side facing this angle, since the angle we intend using is 40 degrees, the side facing this angle is opposite. The other side, which is not facing the 90 degrees, is the adjacent. And the longest side of the triangle, which is the side facing 90 degrees, is the hypotenuse. Now let's solve. We have the opposite given, but we want to obtain the adjacent. Which trig ratio connects or relates opposite to adjacent? Don't forget, it is tan. If you remember, sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent. So the trig ratio that connects opposite and adjacent is tan. Which means to solve for x, tan 40, in this case the given angle is 40 degrees. Tan 40 is equal to opposite, which is 8, over adjacent, which is x. Good. Now, we want to simplify this. We want to solve for x, but unfortunately, our x is there as a denominator. Now, the value we're looking for needs to be made subject. Now, to make x subject, in English we call it opposite, but in maths you can call it inverse. So to remove x here, we have to get the inverse of x. So if this is 1 over x, where x is divided, to remove it, I have to multiply by x, which means if I multiply this by x, I'll eliminate this because we don't want our x to be a denominator. What do I do next? I'll also multiply here by x to make sure everything is balanced, which means I will have x tan 40 degrees is equal to 8 over x times x. To make sure that x here is eliminated, x divide x 1, x divide x 1. So that means x tan 40 degrees is equal to 8. Now, do you know that to make things easier or to make things simpler, you can actually move this x directly to this place without needing to multiply this in this. Which means if x is dividing on the right hand side of the equal sign, moving it to the left hand side, x start multiplying because x here, division is the inverse of multiplication. Okay, so if a number is adding on the right hand side, moving it to the left hand side, the number starts subtracting. Because these are the basic principle of algebra. If you don't understand that, we will soon talk about algebra and you can check out on the videos. But for now, I need you to understand, to eliminate a number that is dividing, we multiply with the same value. That's why we multiply by x here. But to balance the equation, the x that we're using multiplying here, we also use the same x to multiply here. Now, we're going to get the value of only x, not x times 40. What do? We need to remove tan 40 so that x will be left alone as a subject. Now, how do we remove it? X times 40 means x times tan 40. So to remove a number that is multiplying, we have to divide by the same value because division is the opposite or the inverse of multiplication. So we now say x tan 40 divided by tan 40 degrees is equal to, now since we divided by tan 40 here, we are also going to divide by tan 40 here to ensure that the equation is balanced. Because whatever you do to the right hand side of the equal sign, we also have to do that to the left hand side to balance the equation. So we'll be having tan 40 cancels out tan 40. We'll be left with x. So x is equal to 8 over tan 40 degrees. So our x will be, here we employ our calculator. So checking 8 divided by 8 divided by tan 40, we now have 8 divided by tan 40. Oh, sorry, so we have 8 divided by tan 40. That gives us 9.534. Let's say approximately 9.534. Let's say that's approximately 9.5 cm. This is the value of our x. Now, how about our y? Now, to obtain our y, we also ask ourselves, if this is a the opposite and y is the hypotenuse, which trig ratio connects opposite and hypotenuse? And that is what? Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. So we also do the same thing, just like here. In this case, we'll be having sine to solve for y. Now, to solve for y, we need to understand this. To solve for y, we need to understand it. Sine 40 degrees is equal to, the opposite here is 8 over the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is y. Now, we need to make y our subject. So on this other side, to eliminate y from being a denominator, we have to multiply by the value of y because the inverse of a number that is divided is the one that is multiplying. So to eliminate this division by y, we multiply by y. So we have y sine 40 is equal to 8 over y times y. So we multiply the left hand side by y, and we also multiply the right hand side by y. So when y divides y divides y 1, y divides y 1. So y sine 40 degrees is equal to 8. Now to find the value of only y, we have y equals 8 divided by sine 40 degrees. So that means y is equal to, let's check, 8 divided by 8 divided by sine 40 degrees. So that gives us 12.445. 12.445. And that is approximately 12.4 cm. So you see, we can actually use the trig ratios to obtain the sides and missing angles of a triangle. Now in the next lesson, we'll actually talk about how to use the sides to find the missing angles. Today we used the angle to find the missing sides. Now in the next class, we'll talk about using the sides to find the missing angles.